Hey, what's happening guys, Chris here, and in this video I'll be giving you a complete guide to the UMP-9 in Battlefield Hardline. Although it came out alongside the Getaway DLC, it's not actually exclusive to it, so anyone can use the weapon and it's absolutely free. Just as you'd expect from an SMG, the UMP-9 is another mechanic only gun, though you might be pleased to know that it's not tied down to any specific faction. It's also relatively cheap too, costing $30,200, so it shouldn't take you all week to save up for it. A lot of people are probably going to be comparing this gun to the UMP-45 and wondering whether it's the same, but it's definitely not. The UMP-9's not miles away from its brother as for its overall stats, but there's quite a lot of tweaks to recoil, damage, mag size, rate of fire, and well, pretty much everything. So I'll give you the lowdown on all of that stuff and see whether it's a worthy weapon to use. So let's go over the positives first. One thing that the UMP-9 doesn't have much of a problem with is its overall damage. For its maximum value, the UMP-9 can deal 34 up to a range of 20 meters. The damage then starts to decrease with distance up to 35 meters away, where the minimum damage of 20 is dealt. So it's safe to say that the UMP-9 packs a punch, though the UMP-45 has a slightly higher minimum damage, but the UMP-9 is a little bit better with its range. It can basically kill someone with full health up to 20 meters in just 3 bullets. Though it'll take more the further away they are, and at maximum, it'll take 6 of your bullets to put them down beyond the range of 34 meters. Another factor that the UMP-9 does quite well is its reloading. A fast reload will cost you 2.25 seconds, which isn't lightning quick, but a bit more so than a lot of the other SMGs. This might not seem like a brilliant trait, but as for its longer reload when you've got no bullets left, it's actually very quick indeed, as it'll only take about 2.73 seconds, which is quite a bit faster than most of the other similar SMG weapons. These are actually the same times as the UMP-45, though unlike its counterpart, the gun has 31 bullets per magazine as opposed to just 26, and these extra bullets could mean all the difference between a kill or a death. Now when we look at the weapon's recoil pattern, it's one of the better ones in the mechanic class. Perhaps not as good as the likes of the Uzi and the M12S, but it's an improvement over the UMP-45. With a vertical jump of 0.2, a leftwards kick of 0.2, and a rightwards kick of 0.15, the UMP-9's recoil is pretty decent. It might seem to jolt to the left slightly more so than the right, putting off some of your shots, but as a whole, it's not really a bad pattern to contend with. Though one thing that is a bit on the weak side is the gun's fire rate. Firing a tad quicker than the 45, the UMP-9 fires at 650 RPM, which is quite slow, especially when some of the guns in the same category can fire at almost double that speed. This means you're gonna need to be more aware of your surroundings, as you won't be able to rely on speed to get you through a firefight. Not to mention that although the recoil pattern is fairly good, it still doesn't match up to weapons like the M12S, and missing too many of your shots with a gun that fires this slow is only gonna end badly. Another big factor that might not seem like a big deal but really is the fact that the UMP-9 has a fairly low bullet velocity. Most of the other SMGs have a velocity of 420 meters per second or higher. The UMP-9 shares the same 320 meters per second velocity with the UMP-45, and this makes the gun feel a bit different to use than the others, as you'll have to aim slightly more in front of your target if they move into account for the bullet's travel time, and this makes hitting enemies far away successfully a lot more challenging to do. And this might give the illusion that the gun is very inaccurate at range, especially if you're not taking this into account. The combination of a low bullet velocity and a slow fire rate might make the weapon seem harder to use, especially in its base form, but thankfully enough the UMP-9 gets a lot better when you stick on the right attachments, so you might just have to grit your teeth and bear with the gun until you unlock those. Now as for the attachment that I feel help improve the gun the most, to start off with I'd definitely suggest equipping the muzzle brake onto the weapon. Because it doesn't have much vertical recoil to speak of and it's manageable enough to control, you don't really need a compensator for this one. Reducing that side to side recoil is more of a priority, and it's going to give the gun that much needed upgrade, making the gun feel a hell of a lot more accurate. This is exactly what the gun needs, as it'll make tracing your targets easier, and it might feel as though the weapon is a much better gun to use at medium to longer ranges too. The heavy barrel's not a bad option either, as this will help lower the gun's ADS base spread. But honestly, after trying both of these out, I ended up doing a lot better with the muzzle brake slapped on the end of that barrel. I'd probably avoid the suppressor down to the UMP-9 already having a low bullet velocity as it is, and making this even lower is going to cause you a lot of problems past short range, and it's probably just going to give you a headache. But I would opt for the stubby grip to lower that spread increase, gripping your bullets closer together and making it easier for you to trace those targets. And by adding a muzzle brake and a stubby grip to the UMP-9, you can turn it from a CQC only weapon into a gun that's capable of taking on other SMGs and even assault rifles at medium ranges. So in conclusion, the UMP-9 is a weapon that's not extremely far out from its UMP-45 counterpart, though it's different enough to be its own gun. What it lacks in its speed and fire rate, the gun makes up for it in its high damage and decent range. It's one of the more accurate weapons that the mechanic can use, but because of its low bullet velocity, it can sometimes make the gun feel like it's missing all your shots on purpose. But once you master leading your targets at longer distances, and learn how the gun functions in comparison to other SMGs, and once you get to add on a few attachments, the UMP-9 can be a beast on the battlefield, in the right scenario. So that's all I've got for you in this weapon guide, and if you enjoyed it or learned something new, why not hit that like button on your way out, and that'll be much appreciated. And subscribe to see a whole bunch of other gun guides, reviews, and stuff for Battlefield Hardline and loads of other games too. Thanks for watching, take it easy, and I'll see you in that next video.